So I'm here today in the kitchen with Dr. Campbell and Dr. Esselstyn, the star of the movie Forks Over Knives. Thank you so much for coming, gentlemen. It's an honor to have you. So the movie Forks Over Knives was groundbreaking. The information on nutritional science was incredible. Why isn't this information out in the masses?
That's the $60 million question, I think. That's what we're really about. This information is so powerful. We've got to be able to share this with the public.
I think that we're at the point now where the science is so solid. And the dream I think we all have is that we want to try to eliminate illness. And the seismic revolution that's going to happen is not going to happen with a pill. It's not going to happen with a procedure. It's not going to happen with an operation. But the seismic revolution in health that really is at our fingertips is when we really show the public what is the lifestyle and especially the nutritional literacy that will empower them on their own as the locus of control to eliminate these common chronic killing diseases. And I'd like to start off with breakfast.
All right. You know, it's funny, when I asked you gentlemen to be on the show, I called you up and I said, what recipe would you like to make? And, well, your wife actually said, well, he only knows how to make one thing, so it would be very easy. Now, on the other hand, Dr. Campbell, your wife said, you didn't know how to make anything.
She said, get out of the kitchen.
That's right. Well, that may be true, but I actually have a clip proving that you do, in fact, know how to make one recipe. Let's take a look at it. Well, let's welcome him.
Oh, my God.
Okay, we're going to put this in, and we're going to ask you to massage the kale.
Oh.
Want me to roll up your sleeves?
Just
This is like it was when I was a kid, you know, playing in the mud and stuff like this.
So really get it in there. Just give it a nice, good massage. We want to massage our greens.
Good job. Look, he's doing a good job.
And after...
Yay. See? There's hope.
You gotta get it all mixed in.
AJ, look at what a good job Dr. Campbell did.
You're doing
You
so,
did a perfect job.
You know what? If this lecture author thing doesn't work out,
You know, the problem is, the first thing you know, my wife is going to have me in the kitchen.
yeah.
She's thinking as we speak.
Well, that was fantastic, Dr. Campbell. I think you have great promise in the kitchen.
Well, thank you so much. The first time I've heard that.
In your long, illustrious career. So, Dr. Esselstyn, you're going to teach Dr. Campbell and myself how to make breakfast, and I hear this is what you actually eat almost every day.
It is because it's safe, and I love it. We're going to start with something as simple as old-fashioned Quaker oats, rolled oats. They've already been cooked. They've been steamed, and they've been crushed between steel rollers, so they're ready to go. The next thing we do is I always like to have a little
Fruit.
banana on there.
Right.
And so that the banana adds a little bit of sweetness,
Right.
And you can also have some raisins. And the exciting thing about
Wow, you're cutting towards you. Now, that's because you were a surgeon,
oh
but
yeah,
I wouldn't
and
try
I
this
look
at
at
home.
that right at my thumb too.
Wow.
Isn't that exciting? You know?
You do that very well.
Now, once you've got the banana in, of course, you can always then go to the fruit. I usually have raspberries, blueberries, and strawberries. And the exciting thing about those are that these fruits are very antioxidant. All right, raspberries, blueberries, and strawberries. So I think it's sort of keen to have some antioxidants really in every meal.
And it makes it pretty and delicious.
Oh yeah, you just can't believe how delicious this is going to be.
That's incredible that you keep cutting towards your
Now,
thumb and you're not even...
What about a little bit more about the oats? What really is exciting about this breakfast is that the oats supplies. The oats are very high in what we call polyphenols. Polyphenolic compounds have a remarkable capacity to really lower inflammation and also to help lower cholesterol. And the nice thing about oats is it's dose responsive, so that if you have a patient who's somewhat underweight and they have a problem with cholesterol and heart disease, they have this a second time, rarely, even an evening snack, it does wonders for helping to lower cholesterol. So once we have the bananas in, we have the fruit in, then it's always key to have a little omega-3.
Omega-3 fatty
So we
acids.
go ahead
sure.
with the flaxseed meal.
Chia seeds would have been okay too, right?
Yes, they absolutely would. And then how are we going to wet it down? Okay, because
With milk.
yes,
Yeah, but it's a different kind of milk.
this is unsweetened almond milk,
Right.
and just
You
now
can use
look.
oat milk or rice milk,
Here-
any non-dairy milk. Why is it so important?
Here is an absolute feast.
Wow.
So if you're going to eat plant-based, here's a very quick, sensible, easy, extremely healthy breakfast that is going to
Put a
be
few
tough
of
to
these more
beat.
berries on top just to make it look pretty. I'm going to serve this to Dr. Campbell. What do you normally eat for breakfast, Dr.
Actually,
Campbell?
that is just about what I've had for the last 25 years.
Then why can't you make it?
Oh, I do sometimes.
I'm just kidding. But why is it so important that we not use cow's milk?
Well, I got involved in that question early in my research career many, many years ago. I came from a farm. I did my work initially trying to show how important protein really was. But in reality, what we learned through a long career, actually, in the laboratory, protein, when fed in excess, actually causes cancer.
Wow. And most people are looking to get more protein.
Right.
Wow. Well, let me show you. I want to garnish this before I let you taste it. This is a really easy way to garnish a strawberry. You just make little tiny slits like this. And then you kind of push it out like that, little fan.
wow.
And then we're going to see if Dr. Esselstyn cooks as good as your wife, Karen. Would you like to try it?
Okay. Looks good to me.
Is this sort of, this looks delicious, by the way.
That's going to be my lunch.
Wow. We have extra spoons. We have extra spoons. It's good, isn't it?
Pass the toast.
All right.
Thank you for the lesson, by the way.
Dr. Campbell, Dr. Esselstyn, thank you so much for being here and showing us how to make a delicious, easy breakfast. Don't go away because next up we're going to show you an easy and delicious recipe for red lentil chili. But first, we're going to show you a clip featuring these two plant-based rock stars from Forks Over Knives.
Dr. Campbell came across a scientific paper published in a little-known Indian medical journal. It detailed work that had been done on a population of experimental rats that were first exposed to a carcinogen called aflatoxin, then fed a diet of casein, the main protein found in milk.
They were testing the effect of protein on the development of liver cancer. They used two different levels of protein. They used 20% of total calories, and then they used a much lower level, 5%. 20% turned on cancer, 5% turned it off.
This Indian paper, together with what Dr. Campbell had learned about increased liver cancers in children eating animal-based foods, combined to create a decisive moment in his work and his life.
Because we learned that animal protein was really good in turning on cancer.
Despite the apparent success of the dietary approach, some critics say eating this way is extreme.
Now, with the Western diet, this guarantees there are going to be, what, 500,000 people in this country this year who will have to have the front half of their body divided, their heart exposed, then veins will be taken from their leg and sewed on their heart. Some people would call that extreme.
Dr. Esselstyn has now successfully treated over 250 patients with heart disease, using almost exclusively a whole foods, plant-based diet.
Heart disease, as far as I'm concerned, is an absolutely toothless paper tiger that need never, ever exist. And if it does exist, it need never, ever progress.
It was such a pleasure learning how to make a healthy and delicious breakfast with my two favorite doctors. Now I'm going to show you how to make a healthy, delicious, and really easy dinner. It's actually my family's favorite chili. It's one of my most popular recipes, and it's called red lentil chili. We're going to make it in the Instant Pot electric pressure cooker. I like to top it with what I call a faux Parmesan topping. I'm actually allergic to milk, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy things like milk and cheese as long as I make the healthy versions that I'm going to show you on this show. I'm going to make the topping first because anytime you use nuts or seeds in a blender, you want to make sure the blade is dry. So I'm using my Vitamix blender, and I'm going to put in 1 cup of raw almonds. Now, if you were allergic to almonds, you could use walnuts. You could even use pumpkin seeds, which are delicious in here. I have 1/2 cup of nutritional yeast, and that's what I use to give things a really cheesy flavor. It's delicious, nutty tasting, really high in B vitamins, and 2 tablespoons of my very favorite salt-free seasoning. put the top on the blender. That literally took seconds, and this will keep for weeks in your refrigerator. It's delicious on all kinds of soups, stews, chilies, salads. It's even delicious on air pop popcorn. Now I'm going to show you how to make red lentil chili. What I like to do is puree some of my ingredients so it gives it a nice smooth texture, but you certainly can leave them whole if you want. That was 2 cans of salt-free fire-roasted tomatoes. Each can is about 14.5 ounces. I've got 2 red bell peppers. Again, if you'd rather use them chopped, you can. 8 cloves of garlic. You know how I feel about garlic. If a little bit is good, more is better. For sweetening, I'm putting in 2 ounces of pitted dates. It's very important you put dates in after they've been pitted. That's not good for your blade if you don't. And 4 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. So I have a little bit of a sweet sour thing going here with the dates and with the apple cider vinegar. I personally don't use sugar. I get all my sweetness from the fruit, the whole fruit, and nothing but the whole fruit. Put my blender top back on. Always make sure it's nice and tight. You don't know what it's like when you get tomato all over the ceiling. You're the one that's gonna have to clean it up. I always like to keep my hand on top of the blender just in case. After you've cleaned enough ceilings, you learn the hard way. So I puree those ingredients until smooth. Hi, I'm Chef AJ, the host of Healthy Living. You know, as a professional chef, I have just about every kitchen appliance known to man. But my all-time favorite, the one that I absolutely could not live without, is the Instant Pot electric pressure cooker. One of the things that I particularly love about the Instant Pot electric pressure cooker is that it comes with a stainless steel insert. Many other electric pressure cookers come with nonstick inserts, so if you want to avoid the dangers associated with nonstick linings, the Instant Pot is the way to go. The Instant Pot not only saves me time, but it saves me money. Because instead of eating out at restaurants or eating processed food, I'm cooking whole foods like whole grains and legumes in no time. Things that take a really long time to cook on the stove, like beans that could take 2.5 hours, can take as little as 10 minutes in the Instant Pot electric pressure cooker. Steel cut oats, for example, which take about an hour to cook on the stove, take only 5 minutes in the Instant Pot electric pressure cooker. And you can make delicious soups, stews, and chilies in less than 10 minutes. And many of these recipes are available free on my website, eatunprocessed.com. When I get home from work late, the last thing I want to do is cook. But with the Instant Pot, all I have to do is throw everything in, press a button, and walk away. I use that time to take a bubble bath, or take my dog for a walk. Who wants to slave over a hot stove? At the push of a button, you can have healthy, delicious meals in no time. I know what a lot of you are thinking. The last thing I need is another appliance to sit on my counter. But first of all, this is not just another appliance, because this will replace at least 4 appliances that you might already have. In addition to being the world's finest electric pressure cooker, it's also a slow cooker. That's one tool already you can get rid of. It's also a rice cooker, so you no longer need your rice cooker, and it even makes yogurt. You can even bake a cake in the Instant Pot. I always joke with my husband that if there was a fire, I would grab my dog Sparky under one arm and my Instant Pot on the other arm. That's how much I love my Instant Pot. You know, ever since my book Unprocessed came out 4 years ago, I've been on the road 50 weeks a year. And I can honestly tell you that I travel with my Instant Pot electric pressure cooker so that I can cook healthy things like potatoes and greens in my hotel room. Instant Pot has agreed to offer a discount to all the viewers of Healthy Living. Simply go to their website, www.instantpot.com, and put in the code MyNameAJ for $50 off your Instant Pot. I know that you will love it as much as I do. In the Instant Pot, I have 8 cups of boiling water, and then I'm going to add 1 pound of red lentils. I love red lentils because they're creamy and they cook up very quickly. 1 large onion, chopped. The puree that I made of the red bell pepper, the tomato, the garlic, the dates, and the apple cider vinegar. 1 6-ounce can of tomato paste. And then my spices. Let me show you a great trick. I have all these spices here. There's about 6 different spices. We found that people don't eat 7 distinct breakfasts, 7 distinct lunches, 7 different dinners every single day of the week and the month. People tend to repeat their family's favorites. I repeat red lentil chili every week, so instead of having to measure out all these spices every time I make it, what I do is every time a spice jar gets empty, I measure out the ingredients in advance. So the recipes that I make every week, the split pea soup, the mushroom chili, the red lentil chili, all I have to do when I get home from work late is take my spice jar, open it up, and it's pre-measured. But just make sure you label what it is, because the last thing you want is split pea slices in your red lentil chili. Spices I'm using are dried parsley, oregano, salt-free chili powder. I've got some smoked paprika. I love the smoked. Chipotle powder for a little bit of heat. You can always add more. And some red pepper flakes. And put my time. I use the manual button for everything. It's just so easy. We're going to put 10 minutes time on. And when we come back, I'm going to show you how to make a delicious salad that I call Hail to the Kale that I promise you're going to love. So welcome back. I'm now going to make for you one of my very favorite and most popular recipes. It's actually served in several restaurants in Los Angeles where I live, and it's called Hail to the Kale. I'm going to show you how to make the dressing. So we're going to start with 1 cup of water, which I have in my Vitamix blender. Then I'm going to add 1 cup of unsweetened, unsalted almond butter. I like to use raw, but if you prefer roasted, you could. And you know what? If you were allergic to almonds or didn't like them, you could certainly use unsweetened peanut butter. You could use tahini, which is just sesame seed base. You could use cashew butter. So any nut butter or seed butter will work great in this recipe. And actually, if you wanted to lower the amount of fat in this recipe, because you were following a low-fat diet, you could actually substitute 1 can of rinsed and drained cannellini beans for almost all of the nut butter, and it will still taste delicious. We're also using lime juice. I have here a 1/2 cup of lime juice, but I also included the zest. It's so great whenever you have a recipe with lemons or limes or oranges to include the zest. It just imparts a little bit more flavor, and it's delicious. It's important to use organic, though, if you are using the zest. If for some reason you couldn't get limes, you could certainly use lemon juice, but you know, limes are a little bit sweeter. If you were going to use lemons, I would suggest the Meyer lemon because they're much sweeter. 2 tablespoons of something that's called raw coconut aminos. Basically, all this is a very low sodium soy sauce that's not only wheat-free and gluten-free, but also soy-free. I happen to be allergic to soy, so all of my recipes use the raw coconut aminos instead of soy sauce or tamari. 2 tablespoons. We have 1 ounce of fresh ginger, which is about a 1-inch piece. You don't have to peel if it's organic. And 2 cloves of garlic. And if you're like me, if a little garlic's good, more is better, so always feel free to add more garlic. 1/2 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. If you like it really hot and spicy, then you can certainly add more red pepper flakes, and you can also add more ginger. The next ingredient are dates. I am using 4 pitted medjool dates. And I use this for sweetness because I do not eat any sugar. Not real sugar, not fake sugar. I was a pastry chef in Los Angeles for many years, and none of my desserts had sugar. I used the fruit, the whole fruit, and nothing but the whole fruit. I like using fruit for all my sweetening needs. And dates, while they are high in sugar, are still a whole natural food found in nature, which means that they not only have water and fiber, but vitamins and minerals and phytochemicals and antioxidants and micronutrients. You know, my mom used to say, if you have nothing good to say about somebody, don't say anything. And I have nothing good to say about sugar. I don't know if you've seen the new documentary, Fed Up, but they're proving now with scientific research that sugar is even more addictive than cocaine or heroin. You may not believe this, but Americans eat over 150 pounds of sugar per person per year. Well, I haven't had any sugar since July 6, 2003, so I know somebody out there is eating my share. So is it you? Are you the one eating 300 pounds of sugar a year? You don't need to. Eat fruit. When you stop eating sugar, fruit tastes amazing. Nature's candy. I've got everything in my blender. I love the Vitamix because it is so quick to make everything. That was really easy. You know, when you buy commercial bottle dressings, they may taste good, but they're really not that healthy. They're full of sugar, oil, salt, artificial preservatives, stabilizers. It's so easy to make a delicious dressing like this from scratch. It will last several weeks in your refrigerator, and it's not only good on this salad, the Hail to the Kale, but this is great on sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, steamed broccoli. You're gonna love it. Let me show you how you finish off the salad. I like to use some food service gloves because that way I don't have to get my hands dirty. Always make sure that if you are serving food to other people, when you're using gloves, get latex free, because if somebody eating your food has a latex allergy, that's not a good idea. Look how thick and creamy. This is sort of reminiscent of a peanut dressing that you might find in an Asian restaurant. Pour it on, a little or as much as you like, and then you massage the kale into it. This is finely chopped kale. You can chop it by hand. You can even buy kale already stemmed and chopped and washed now at most stores. You can actually also chop it in your food processor fitted with the S blade, as long as you do it very quickly and don't turn it into a puree. So get the kids involved. They like doing things like this. As you massage the kale, it's actually going to shrink down a little bit in size. What's great about kale is it's sturdy. So when you have salad, and if you have it left over, it generally doesn't taste good the next day. But kale does, because this really stands up to the dressing. And you know what's really fun to do is, if you have a food dehydrator, you take this recipe and you put this in your food dehydrator and you have kale chips. Kale chips can cost $24 a pound. You can make them so inexpensively at home. I think the reason people love this recipe so much is because it hits all the flavors that we love: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and pungent. You know, we have taste buds on our tongues for these things, and all the ingredients hit those notes. So for example, we've got the bitter from the kale, we've got the sweet from the dates, we've got the salty from the raw coconut aminos, we have the pungent from the ginger, and we have the sour from the lime. You know, kale's becoming very popular. They're even saying that kale is the new beef. So I know you can find this. I travel all around the United States speaking in a different city every week, and even in the smallest towns I've been able to find kale. And you can even grow it yourself. It's one of the sturdiest, hardiest vegetables that you can imagine. This is plain, but it's also delicious if you would put in some shredded raw beets, shredded raw carrots. You can even make a kale Waldorf salad out of this by putting in some apples. It's very versatile. If you don't like it raw, then steam your kale and then put the sauce on. But it's really what you want is a delicious dressing like this. And making a delicious dressing, homemade, putting it on kale, what could be healthier? When we come back, I'm going to have all 3 dishes that we made plated up, and I am going to get to taste it. So this is my favorite part of the show, where I actually get to taste everything we made today. And you know, when you think about it, these would be perfect for a day's worth of food. We have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. First, we have Dr. Esselstyn's favorite breakfast. These are Essie's oats, and these are so easy to make. They don't have to be cooked. They're delicious raw. You can set them up in your fridge if you like them a little bit chilled. You can eat them the next day, and you can vary the fruit. This has bananas and blueberries and blackberries and raspberries, and you know, this is not just breakfast. You could eat this anytime for dessert. It gets its sweetness from the fruit, and when the oats soak in the plant milk, they have a nice bite, just a nice chewy texture. Delicious. And please vary the fruit. Bananas are always great. Sometimes I'll put apples in, sometimes pears. For lunch, how about some Hail to the Kale salad? I dressed it with a little bit more of the delicious homemade dressing and sprinkled some almonds on top. You know, even people who don't like kale or say they don't like kale or have never had kale, they love this recipe. For dinner, we have our red lentil chili. You know, all soups, stews, and chilies generally taste better the next day because they thicken up and the flavors have time to marinate. Sprinkling a little bit of the faux Parmesan topping on top. You could also garnish it with a few scallions. One of the ways I love to serve this is over a baked potato, especially a Yukon Gold. And if you mix it with an equal amount of cooked brown rice, you actually get a creamy red lentil risotto. It's hot, make sure you blow. That's really, really good. And if you like it a little spicier, put a little hot sauce on it. All this delicious food, which was easy to prepare, is nature's bounty. It's delicious, healthy, whole food that's unprocessed. It came from a plant instead of being manufactured in a plant. And nothing came from a can, a box, or bottle, or bag. You know, Americans eat over 92% of their calories from animal products and processed food, and less than 10% from fruits and vegetables. So I'm asking you to consider making the flip and eating more of your calories from fruits and vegetables, whole grains and legumes, unprocessed plant food. Good for your health, good for the animals, and good for the environment. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Healthy Living. I'm Chef AJ, and I make healthy taste delicious. Loving kale, and today we really do have kale. I've got such a bounty here, I just don't know what to eat first.